Growing up in St.Maarten, Kofi Hamilton didn't always dream about going to the NBA. However, after he was introduced to the game of basketball by an older cousin, this one-time table tennis player is now closer than ever to that reality. I caught up with him during his vacation to get an insight to his journey from St.Maarten to Oklahoma and hopefully to the NBA. This is In Focus.
This episode is sponsored by Enterprise Insurance. For all your specialized, personal, business, or liability insurance needs, contact us today. Enterprise Insurance, securing your tomorrow today.
My first question would be where the journey started really when it comes to basketball, and if basketball was the first love as it relates to sports.
So to be honest, basketball was not my first love. My first love would be, it was table tennis for sure. So I started playing table tennis in 2009, 2009. And I was introduced to the sport from my cousins, Josiah, Lysandra, and Rory. And basketball came into the picture in 2014 when I saw my older cousin, Rory. He was given the opportunity to go to the US. So I really took that from him and run with it.
So he was the person who introduced you to the game.
Yeah, he definitely was. Yep.
But when did you realize that you were kind of good at the game? Because I mean, there was a point where you were probably just playing around with your cousin, playing in the backyard. But then, where did the turning point come when you say, "Hey, I might be good at this"?
So the turning point was in 2018 when I was given the opportunity to represent the island of St.Maarten in Antigua. I was on the national team, and we won the tournament, and I got like good feedback from scouts who was in Antigua, and they told me I should really take the sport serious. And once I heard it from them, I really...
So before the scouts came into the picture, you never think that you were... Because you were kind of popular on the island already. People knew you as Kofi, the guy who plays basketball, the guy who plays basketball well, the guy who dominates the game. So you didn't think that you were decent or good enough to play the game and take it seriously before the scouts came into the picture?
To be honest, I was just playing basketball just for the fun of it, if we're being honest. And just more like, you get attention, a lot of attention from it, girls and whatnot. But once the scouts really told me I have the chance, I really took it serious.
Before we speak more about the scouts, I'd like to know, before they came into the picture, who would you credit for your foundational development?
I would definitely credit Khalil. He was our coach for the national team. But prior to that, I was working up with him, He saw something in me, and he really was helping me along the way.
So about these scouts, John Stasia being one of them, what was your reaction to being approached by them and them, communicating to you that, hey, you should probably take this seriously and we might have an interest in you?
To be honest, I couldn't believe it, honestly. Just because, being from a small island, you never really hear a lot of kids go away to play basketball. So just hearing it from them and them telling me, I could do something big was just I didn't know how to process it, honestly.
This is straight from me because I thought that you would have had dreams to go away and play basketball in a college and then go to the NBA and these sort of stuff. But it seems like that wasn't really at the front of your mind at the time before these people come into the picture. How did your parents take it? Because you told them hey, you're a scout. Yeah, how did they take it?
I'm gonna be honest with you, my parents don't believe in sports. It's more education first, then sports after. Okay. So I told my dad about it, and he was education. And once he heard it from them, he really was okay. I'm gonna ease off of you, but he was still telling me to balance and stuff like that.
So what about now? Are they on board with the whole basketball thing?
Oh, right now, they are. Yeah, right now, for sure.
Yeah. So they're fully into everything. They're watching the games when they can, keeping up with the scores, watching the news.
Yep.
So here you are being approached after winning the regional championship, as we said, in Antigua. How did you end up being in Nebraska?
So 2018 in March, I was given the opportunity to go to Danville, Illinois, and I had to try out with a team called Danville Area Community College, and I worked out with them, and I was cooking, and they told me I was too small in size, so they gave up on me. And then I had other I had another workout with a coach. He came to the gym, he watched me work out, and he walked off. He left the gym in 5 minutes, and that really motivate me to really take it serious.
Mm-hmm.
So
wait, he walked off because he liked what he saw. Or he didn't like.
No, he didn't like what he saw. Okay. So he just was it's a waste of time, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So I came back home, and the same scout who was in Antigua, he got in contact with my coach from Nebraska, and the coach from Nebraska saw my film, and he was like, okay, I want to see this guy work out. So he came to the island, and I worked out with him for a week. And once that was done, the paperwork was in hand, and I was given the opportunity to go to the States and play basketball.
So he saw your film, but he saw it after 2 other persons had rejected you. Why do you think he gave you that opportunity though? What do you think he saw in you?
It was just more I was just raw, just started playing basketball, and I'm very athletic. And he was he would work with me along the way because I have all the tools. I just have to put time in and work out, and I would be where I am now, honestly.
We're in Nebraska. Outside of basketball, what was the transition like? How did you deal with it? Different environment, you leave your family behind, you had to make new friends. Yeah. The only person that you probably knew was a coach.
Yep. 100%.
So how did you deal with the transition?
I would honestly say it's not having family. I had leaned more I go to church, as you know, so it's I lean to God. My stepmom always told me in bad times, lean to God. So I was just more on talking to him and just asking him to help me along my path and just bless me.
Yeah.
And the environment was more I'm not a very talkative person, so it was really hard to just mix with other people. But as time go along, I got comfortable with my teammates. And
how did the game develop? Because coming from St.Maarten to SCC, how did the game now develop? New training facilities, new coach, new team, new everything. And first of all, was it wow, this is too much for me, or did you fit right into the whole thing?
So to be honest, when I just arrived, I arrived in January 4th of 2019. So I had to redshirt. So that second half of the semester, I had to just sit out. So that really helped me because I was working out probably 2 times a day.
Yeah.
So my game developed where I was weak, and the coaches held me to a high standard, and my game just continued to progress.
What was your motivation? Because many persons in your position would have folded or become distracted. What motivated you to stay locked in, especially in those early days?
I would definitely say just really thinking back where I was and where I am now, and just knowing where my parents was at that time. It's just I was trying to better their life, so I was just just taking it serious because I know me being raw and talented, I could help change our life, honestly.
And you're still looking forward to doing that?
I will, yeah, 100%.
So you're a little bit more settled in now at Southeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after our first few months with the Storms, you were starting to make an impact for your team. Now I'll take you back to April 2021 in the Region 9 Championship game against Central CC. Now before that game, your team had lost 4 out of 6, which included a 3-game losing streak. However, in that championship game, you had a massive performance. You helped the team outscore Central 30-18 in the paint, and you almost had a double-double where you scored 9 points and 12 rebounds. After the game, I don't know if you remember what you said. You said it wasn't easy, but as a team, we wanted this. Take me back to the emotions that followed.
It felt really good, honestly. It's just we grinded this out from the start. So it's all of us been locked in. All of us went through hard times together. So it's I was just happy that we got the win, honestly.
How important you think a team is to you on a personal level?
I would say a lot, honestly, just because on the court especially, what you do outside will dictate, on the court. So it's if you have a group of kids, say one group here, next group here, not everybody gonna be on the same page. But if all of you guys gel as one, it's y'all can get the job done. And off the court, I could say my teammates really held me to a high standard. They make me who I am today, just because they know I was, that player, and they really held me to a high standard and make me have no days off, and I could say like that really helped me, honestly.
Yeah. And when you look back at your time at Southeast Community College, how would you sum it up? How would you sum up that experience at Southeast?
I would definitely. It was a great experience, just because like at Southeast, so it's like a junior college basketball. So it's like you're not determined to move on to a 4-year college. So it's like you have to perform in order to get out. So like just being there in that environment just had me have a worker's mindset. You know, it's just like I gotta do this to be able to move on. Sorry.
It was harder to get out. It's harder to get out of
junior college. Yep, 100%. Yep.
Plus being in Division 2.
Yep.
So you gotta work extra hard.
You have to. Yep.
And of course you did. You ended your time at SCC. I read this as one of the most decorated players.
Yeah.
Now, we gotta think back, about where you're coming from. You didn't like basketball, or you didn't have an early interest in it.
Yeah.
You were into table tennis. You didn't even think that you were good enough until a scout approached you and said, "Hey, you should probably take this seriously."
Yeah.
You were neglected by at least 2 organizations. You traveled from St.Maarten to Nebraska, and you left after seeing 2.5 years as one of the most decorated players of the school. I see a smile. So what thoughts are going through your mind right now?
It's just like hard. It's honestly, like up to this day, it's really hard, like process, just because, like as you say, coming from a small island and doing this on a big stage is really like crazy to me. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really just hard.
And to add some more context to that, 2021 first team D2 All-American, 2021 captain of the Midlands All-Nebraska, 2 times All-Conference, 2 times All-Region. Easy?
It was definitely not easy. It was just like a lot of work was put in behind the cameras, honestly. I must say, it's like late nights, just grinding, just really just focusing on my game and focusing on my craft, honestly, and just like blocking out the noise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of dudes nowadays like into the social media hype, which is like I am not into that. I'm more like the type to just like lay low, grind, and once I go there and play, you can see my work, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, moving to Rogers State, being a part of the Hillcats, it's obviously a level up from your earlier experiences, and it's a bigger challenge. What surprised you the most about it?
I would definitely say it made me get that chip back on my shoulder, especially like, coming from being a man, I thought everything was gonna be a smooth sailing, but walking into some dudes is like, okay, like you have some work to do, and I really had to just, as I say, restart and just really get my mind right.
And what about now? You've obviously grown, and as you said, you had to start over in a way. How would you judge your position in the team now?
I could say, humbly, it's back to like my SCC days. Like I'm that guy, My coach hold me at a very high standard, and he expected me to come in this season and help us go to the tournament.
What type of expectations are you held to, not only by your coach, but by your teammates?
A big one is always to be an everyday guy, just especially like me being vocal and just leading by example, like not having no days off, because a lot of my teammates look up to me in the sense of they see me like how hard I work. So it's like if I take a day off, they think it would be okay to take a day off. You know what I mean? So it's like he always tell me to just be an everyday guy and just bring it every day.
You mentioned your coach, Justin Barkley.
Yeah.
How important will he be in this final year at Rogers State?
I would definitely. He hold a big part in my life, honestly, just because, like, as I say, he hold me at a high standard. He really made me who I am today, because it's like we have a connection where it's like a father and son relationship, So it's like he really tell me stuff beforehand, and like how to explain. He really just helped me, honestly, I could say. He really helped me.
You are eligible for the 2024 NBA draft.
Yes, sir.
And just saying that is...
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. You really think about it.
Yeah, when you really think about it. And, so I watch the draft and I see the reaction when the commissioner goes across the stage and he calls the name. So let's just imagine for a couple minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's a year from now, because the draft is slated for next June.
Yep.
It's a year from now. You're sitting at the table. Your stepmom on your left, your father on your right.
Yeah.
You probably have some of your friends up there too. And the commissioner goes across the stage and he says, with the blank pick of the 2024 NBA draft, whatever team selects Kofi Hamilton. Just thinking about it now, maybe you should plunge yourself into that reality. What emotions do you think would go through your mind at that time?
I wouldn't believe it, honestly. Like, I would be in shock.
Yeah?
I would just honestly be in shock and just like really out of words, honestly. Yeah. I would just have to make it like really sink in, you know?
Take a few moments, take a few deep breaths, take your time, walk across in a nice suit.
Yeah.
But to get there is a lot of work.
Yeah, 100%, yep.
Oh, we bet you your coach has a lot of trust in you. Your teammates, and this is the thing about basketball, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you all have an individual goal.
Facts.
So how do you manage that? How do you stay locked into your team, but also stay locked into your individual goal, which is to be better?
For me personally, I always remember like where I come from. You know what I mean? That's one thing. I always remember where you come from, and don't settle just because you're there right now. You know, it's just you have a bigger picture, like just dream big. So I really just look at where I was and where I'm going to be. You know what I mean?
Finally, your pressure. Do you have any? How do you handle it?
It's no pressure, honestly. With me, it's no pressure, honestly. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's no pressure just because I know what I bring to the table. You know what I mean? Like I know I work hard. I know I could do. So it's like, and I always trust my work. So it's like no pressure, honestly.
Go. Me, you say that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're trying to get to the pinnacle of basketball.
Yeah.
You have to perform every single night, every single evening on the court. Your coach has expectations of you. You have to be a leader. Your team has expectations of you. You have your own personal goals that you want to achieve. You want to be an elite. Well, you pride yourself in being an elite defender.
100%. Yep. 100%. That is.
But you still tell me that there's no pressure.
Nah. No. Because I work on these things. You know what I mean? Like I work on this. So it's like I know I could do. So it's like there's no pressure. I would take any task given to me and carry it out.
What's the plan? What's the plan to achieve your goal? Are there steps? Do you say, okay, by this time I want to have this, by that time I want to have that, I want to be a certain size, I want to be a certain weight?
I would say right now I'm trying to like change my eating habits, my sleeping, and my weight also, and just really just locking in on the stuff I need to work on. You know? Yeah.
The thing is, what do you say to people that would say to you, but Kofi, only 2% of the people make it? There are thousands of guys every single year who are eligible for the draft, who are good enough, but only 60 of them are picked.
Yeah.
2%. What do you say to the people that say, you can't fit in that 2%? What would you say to that person?
Honestly, what would I say to that person?
The person that said, Kofi, you're good, but you ain't that good. You can't fit in that 2%. What's your response?
Watch. Just watch it. Yeah, honestly.
Watch and see.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan B?
Nah. My plan B is to make my plan A work. 100%. Yeah.
Your plan B is to make your plan A work.
Yep.
I should put that in a shirt.
Yeah.
Being a son of St.Maarten, what would you suggest to the powers that be about creating more opportunities for persons like yourself, persons who are seeing you doing a thing overseas, and want to be able to have the opportunity? What suggestions would you make?
I would say like we should like invest in the kids here. You know, it's like we have an auditorium, but it's not well maintained. You know, like kids wouldn't really want to. You know, like in the States you have the latest facilities. I feel like once you have the latest facilities here, a lot of these kids will really take it serious and really, grind.
Yeah. And as you look to the future, what type of impact do you hope to make for local basketball?
I would just want to make a lot of these kids on the island just be able to, just follow their dream, like trust your work. Yeah, that's one thing I always preach a lot, like trust your work. What you put in is what you're gonna get out. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm a living testimony, like hard work pays off, so yeah.
Well, Kofi, the world is yours, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for sitting down and talking to me, man.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
No problem.
Yep.